Hey, Flip It Red, California. I'm Ann Elizabeth, and I am one of the moderators here at Flip It Red, where our goal is to flip as many seats from blue to red as possible. Today, we are speaking with Eric Early. Eric is running against Democrat incumbent Adam Shifty-Schiff in the 28th Congressional District. Eric is an accomplished attorney, has been named a Southern California super lawyer every year since 2005. He is now turning his sights to Congress, and he has high hopes in sending the Viper into retirement to help give Congress back to the people, in your own words, Eric. So I believe, Eric, that you have what it takes. But why don't you tell me about yourself and why you're running for Congress?
Well, Ann, I'm not a politician. I'm very blessed in my life, and I believe when good things are given to people, people should give back. I've got a great family. I've got two grown children, empty nesters. I've got a grandson. I've got my fiance has two grown children as well. One of whom just got on a big aircraft carrier in Norfolk. We're very proud of him. We have three dogs and a cat. Great family. And I also I'm an attorney. I've been a practicing attorney for 27 years. I run a great law firm. I'm the managing partner. I'm one of the co-owners of the law firm. We have between 25 and 30 attorneys. We practice in courts all around the country: business litigation, real estate litigation, contract disputes, fraud, protecting people from getting kicked out of their homes by fraudsters, all kinds. We represent businesses big and small. Got a great firm. And so, I don't need politics. It's amazing. So many people these days, they get involved in politics because they really don't have much else going on in their life. I got involved because I care deeply about this country. I love our country. And as I've been saying now since I got involved in this race last July, and I've been saying it since before then, I firmly believe we're in a battle of good versus evil in America right now. And, in the last few weeks have really brought that to everybody's living rooms, watching on TV. So that is one of the big reasons I'm in, because there are so many dark forces making their way not only into Congress in the Democrat Party, these squad members, and apparently the squad will be growing from what I'm hearing, to everything we're seeing out on the streets now with this effort by these communists, these anarchists who are trying to rip apart the soul of America. So I got involved for that, and I also got involved because I live in the 28th District of California, which is Schiff's district. And I would sit on my couch every day during the Russia hoax times and watch this piece of garbage get on TV every other day, maybe every day, and come on and tell us how he had clear-cut evidence that the president colluded with Russia to get elected. I'm a big Trump supporter, and I knew from day one, of course, just like your viewers knew, he didn't collude with Russians to get elected. It was ridiculous. So we knew that Schiff was lying in our face, and I took it personally. I don't like this guy lying to me. And then I looked and saw what he's done for the district. He's done nothing for the district. And I spoke to my family. I spoke to political people I know, and here I am. And we've been endorsed by a lot of great people and organizations. We got through the primary. There were 7 other people, 7 people, including me in the primary, trying to go against Schiff in the general election. I got past all of them. So now it's just me versus Schiff. So that's a little bit of an idea of who I am.
That's great. So I want to talk about that. I have to say that I am very excited about your election because it's Adam Schiff's district. So I watched your interview on Fox News, and for me, this stood out. You said Schiff has never said one word about the endless increase in our taxes being foisted on us by his friends in Sacramento. Schiff has also ignored the tremendous burdens caused by illegal immigration. Crime is on the rise. Prisons are being emptied. Law enforcement is not being given the tools it needs or proper support from those in power. Wow, if that doesn't resonate today. I mean, you hit everything.
Yeah, and that interview was, 5 months ago or something? Listen, I'm a big supporter of law enforcement. I'm a big believer in law and order. So what I've seen the last few weeks, living here in LA, for example, all around the country, makes me sick. And these people who say defund the cops are out of their minds. Adam Schiff is one of them.
Yeah.
This worm who's our mayor here in Los Angeles, Garcetti, makes me puke, frankly. This governor, Newsom, they're all very weak. They are all really spineless. And they go with the politically correct sort of things of the day. When our country is being torn apart from within by these anarchists and these crazies. And so, you know, it very much upsets me. What I've seen going on in California, you know, and, you know, this is not my first rodeo. In 2016, I believe it was, I had never run for office before, and I jumped in the race against Javier Becerra for Attorney General of the state of California. Same reasons. Battle of good versus evil in America, the destruction of our state by these people on the left, and a candidate, Becerra, who's very much like a Schiff, just terrible in so many ways. And I had never run for office before. And, you know, I campaigned up and down the state of California, very pro law enforcement, very against taxes, very much against the sanctuary state, very much believing that, you know, we should support our American citizens first before we give whatever money we have. We don't have much to illegal immigrants, you know, on and on. And I got almost 1 million votes statewide in that election. And it was really an incredible experience for me. And so, you know, so I had a lot of good resources drawn when I decided to get in this race this time. But yeah, everything I said in that interview is very true, and it's very troubling for me. We need to take back this state also, and I do believe we're going to flip this state red again in the not too distant future. I'm not sure it's going to be right away, but I do believe it's coming. I see it coming like a freight train, and I think more and more people of every political persuasion are now seeing it because of what we've seen just the last few weeks. You know, we've got to increase funding to cops. We got to support law enforcement. We need elected leaders who have the guts to come out and say that. This Black Lives Matter garbage. Listen, I support Black lives. I do believe that the cop that killed George Floyd murdered him. I believe that was a bad cop. I know for sure that cop should be prosecuted to the fullest extent of the law. And I know, because I have lots of friends in law enforcement, there's a very tiny percentage of law enforcement that are bad cops, and nothing a good cop hates more than a bad cop. And you know, one of my good buddies is a former chief of police before that was rank and file. He said they have such a hard time firing the bad cops. So I have plans on how I plan to deal with that. But you know, the focus has been lost. 98% or so of cops around the country do acts of heroism every single day of the week, acts of kindness every single day of the week, for people of all races, creeds, colors, sexual orientation. You never see the videos of that. So then you get these bozos like the Adam Schiffs of the world and the Eric Garcettis of the world and Gavin Newsoms of the world who go with the flow, who are afraid to say anything that I'm saying right now, don't have the guts to do it, and actually come out and say defund the cops. I mean, we saw what was going on here with these riots in LA. These cops had rocks thrown at them, bottles thrown at them, bars thrown at them, you know, bricks thrown at them, maniacs running up and shouting in their faces, threatening them with physical harm. They showed total restraint. And what was their reward from our mayor? To defund $150 million at least of their budget. And by the way, I'm an LA County or LA City taxpayer. I didn't give Garcetti permission to give my money to whoever. And the other question is, who's getting the $150 million? What anarchist group is getting it? So I support Black Lives, but Black Lives Matter is an organization. And that organization has its hands in this Antifa stuff, in the BDS movement, into anti-American stuff, anti-Semitic stuff, all kinds of terrible stuff. And for these politicians to come out and blanket support an operation like that, which is now extorting companies all around the country for millions of dollars, is outrageous. And we need people in this day and age, and I'm one of them, who can step up and just say enough of this garbage.
Fantastic.
Well,
You
let me tell
you
you this.
said it perfectly.
I got a few big issues, Ann. I mean, I got a lot of big issues. You can go to my website, folks, at
Well,
www.ericearly.com.
mhm.
Look at my positions, and look at what I have to say. But I've been thinking a lot about how we got here, where we see these kids out in the streets, who are white kids who are guilty about being white. Um, all kinds of kids, all races, creeds, colors, and I run in this election for all law-abiding American citizens of all races, creeds, colors, sexual orientation. You're a law-abiding American citizen. I support you and will fight for you to the fullest. But looking at how we got here, uh, these kids have gone through 20 straight years of indoctrination camps in their schools. Starts in kindergarten, ends either if they get out in high school or college. They're indoctrinated with programs teaching them how quote unquote bad America is, how capitalism is bad, how socialism is great, how Caucasians are bad, how religion is bad, these sexually over the top things.
It
We
is.
have got to get our hands around our entire education system again, because what's going on is this is how we get these kids who are out there on the streets doing what they've been doing, tearing down statues. It's outrageous. I'm leading a lawsuit in Santa Barbara. It's been almost 2 years now, of over 300 great Santa Barbara citizens. I'm the lead lawyer. We've been suing the Santa Barbara Unified School District, which is really a communist outpost. The people who run that place, it's shocking. And this group of social justice warriors, they paid over $1.5 million of taxpayer money to come in and indoctrinate the kids with all the things I just told you about. We've been
Yes.
fighting to throw them out of the school. This is going on around the nation. I've been hearing from parents around the nation. I believe the underlying takeover of our schools is one of the top five most biggest dangers we face in America right now. Big issue for me. When I get to Congress, I want to get on that education committee, do whatever I can to stop this from continuing. I got a lot of thoughts about that.
You had mentioned that you believe that people who work in these school systems are social warriors who indoctrinate our kids. And I just thought that was so well said. But you also talked a lot about, and I just want to go over something from your website, because your first issue was taxes. And we are yet again about to go through another gas tax, which is unbelievable, but that's not the only tax. And taxes and regulations are really what we need to focus on, especially now. And here we are talking about raising taxes again in our wonderful blue state. But nationally, if Dems had their way, this is how they would do it.
Listen, we need to get back control of this whole state. I tell you, if I was governor, I got all kinds of things I would be doing immediately to get control of the state. I'm a big supporter of job creators. I'm a big supporter of businesses, big and small. Small businesses are really the backbone of our country. They create jobs for everybody. I own a business. I started a business. I know what it's like. I know the risks people take. You start a business, you never know if it's going to be successful or not. Many people leave, comfortable jobs to start a business because they want to take more control of their own lives. And what I'm seeing, this state, they treat business owners like they're the enemies of the state. And the regulations, the regulations, regulatory burden in the state has to be chopped back. The tax structure is out of control.
Mm-hmm.
And now we're seeing what we're seeing brewing right now, what I call the, up there, really it's like a communist form of government up there in Sacramento. And it's all one party rule. It's been one party rule for a long time. Even before COVID hit, our government was billions of dollars in debt because of the pension crisis up there. They never let that on. Now the Democrats want to make it sound like this debt only occurred because of COVID, and they're seeking a federal government bailout. And all they're going to do is raise our taxes even more, try to do it. We've got to get our hands around what's going on up there again. Newsom's got to be taken out of office. We need Republicans voted into the state Senate and state assembly. But this Politburo up there, which is really what it is, needs to be reined in. You know, I got lots of thoughts about that stuff too. But the tax structure is driven, and it continues to drive good people out of the state. And you know, hardworking people, people who want a better life for themselves and their families. And what's being left are the people who don't pay as much in taxes. And so you can only get away with this kind of economy so long, where you keep increasing taxes, because when the people who actually pay the vast majority of the taxes, and the businesses, and the, you know, and the people who work hard and pay so much in taxes, when they leave and there's nobody else to pay the taxes, what is left? What's left is complete and total financial collapse. So big issue for me.
Yeah. And so, you know, it's hard for people to hold their head above water, and, you know, with what's happened, and businesses, you know, really being affected. And now, you know, because of AB5, I mean, it's all falling down. And I know you're big on AB5. So I
85, big issue for me. For those of your viewers who don't know what AB5 is, there's a assemblywoman. She's a creep. She's really despicable. Her name is Lorena Sanchez. She comes out of San Diego. She's bought and paid for by the employees' unions. She got up to Sacramento, and with millions behind her from the employees' unions, she pushed through this AB5, which prevents, with limited exception, people from working as independent contractors again in the state of California.
mm-hmm.
We had tens of thousands of people working as independent contractors for their whole life, freelancers, independent contractors, gig workers, people in certain industries, and there are over 150 industries in which people have worked as independent contractors. Everything from, you know, truckers to medical translators to, editors in the film industry, all kinds of different professions, nurses, you know, real estate folks in many cases, and on and on and on. And you know, I'm a big believer in small government. And what so many Californians have now seen is what happens when big government gets arrogant, goes too far, swoops down in your life, and changes your entire form of life. And this is what they did. And what was behind this? The employees unions want all these independent contractors to become designated as employees, even though many of the professions these folks work in do not lend themselves to being full-time permanent employees. And why do the unions want to do this? Because if you're a union employee, then you have to pay tons of union dues to the unions. This is worth tens of millions of dollars to the unions. Like I said, they bought and paid for this Lorena Sanchez. You know, we have to repeal AB5. We have to get rid of it. And oh, by the way, my opponent, this demented Adam Schiff, he comes out and he acts like he supports independent contractors, gig workers, and freelancers, because in my district we have the Hollywood film industry. So many people there have worked for independent contractors their whole life. What Schiff doesn't tell these folks, because of who he is and what he's like, is that there is a federal version of AB5 pending right now in Congress, has different numbers. And if that passes, it will outlaw independent contractors, also including Uber and Lyft drivers who work as independent contractors. It will outlaw independent contractors nationwide. And guess who one of the co-sponsors of that federal legislation is? You've guessed it. My opponent, Adam Schiff. So this is a big issue for me. I've been an attorney for 27 years, but before I was an attorney, I worked as an independent contractor for between 5 and 7 years. I know the lifestyle. I know why you have to work as an independent contractor. I know that many of the things I did back then, I could not have been hired as a permanent employee to do. So big issue for me. And it's very interesting because so many people who are registered as Democrats, and by the way, I don't have anything against anybody as to how they're registered. Okay, yeah. It's people's belief systems that I talk about, and I believe so many registered Democrats and independents, their politicians like the Schiffs of the world have passed them by long ago. But what's interesting is in my district, there's so many Democrats whose votes I need to get because of the percentages in the district, who have worked as independent contractors, who have now seen for the first time, I believe, in their lives, what happens when the kind of government I've been fighting my whole life comes and swoops down, how it can change their life so terribly. So I really do believe AB5 is a big issue for people like me who believe in small government.
Yeah. I don't want to leave this interview without touching on the border. I'm just going to open this up for you to talk about and say your
Lock it
piece.
up. Lock up the border. We need to get control of our borders. I'm a big supporter of the Trump position on the borders. No country should have open borders. One of the things that makes a country is having borders. And the Schiffs of the world, the Newsoms of the world, the Garcettis of the world, who believe in open borders, are tacitly saying we want to destroy America. Uh, this has nothing to do with the people coming over. It has everything to do with protecting our country for American citizens. I'm a big supporter of legal with an L immigration. Both of my parents were legal immigrants to America. My mom waited 5 years to her family to have the paperwork necessary to come to America. What we see and what we have seen on our southern border is people just running across by the thousands. And it is part of what undermines the fabric of the country, because we need to take care of our citizens, our tax-paying citizens, before we take care of the rest of the world. So when you have this guy, this politically correct, spineless guy, the empty suit like Gavin Newsom, giving out free benefits, our taxpayer money in a financially bankrupt state to people who aren't even our citizens, it's an outrage. Schiff supports it. Garcetti supports it. We need to take care of our own. We need to lock down the border as much as we possibly can. I know the president's been doing really an amazing job that way. And those folks who want to immigrate here from south of the border, north of the border, east of the, from Europe, from, Asia, go through the process of legal immigration. But we have to stop illegal immigration.
Absolutely. Is there anything else that you would like to tell our members in our community?
Well, first of all, I love the name of your show, Flip It Red, California. I firmly believe that we are effectively in a leaderless state right now. You've heard some of the things I had to say about Newsom. You've heard some of the things I've had to say about this mayor down here, Garcetti, and of course my demented opponent, Schiff. These are literally children. They grew up pampered. They didn't ever work in the real world. They were born and raised by their parents just to be politicians. They went into political office. They never looked back. And all three of them think that they're auditioning to one day be president of the United States. They have all failed us terribly in this COVID crisis. They have now failed us terribly in the riots and the demonstrations following the murder of George Floyd. They have failed us because they don't have the tools necessary to lead. They are not leaders. They're all worms. They're all spineless. They're all chamberlains. We need leaders again in the state of California. People who get up, who can speak tough, who can speak from common sense, who care about the people, but who are not sitting there telling you everything that the politically correct ones want us to say. We have to be fearless again, because we see what is going on in our nation. We see this underlying takeover of our nation, and we see what has happened in this state, the once golden state of California. We need leaders again. We're reaching out to all the people of California. I know it's tough because so many people, all they see is what the mainstream media is dropping into their living rooms and our living rooms every day of the week. But I speak across this state, I speak across this district, and I see more and more people who are saying, you know what, Eric, what you're saying is right. Because what these other people have taken us to is really borderline anarchy. So what I would say to everybody out there listening is, keep the faith, stay strong. We've got good leaders coming. We got to give this state back to the good leaders, the tough ones, the ones who are not afraid to say what needs to be said and do what needs to be done. And I'm one of those folks. I hope you can see it in this interview. I think you can see it in this interview. And I need all your support because this character Schiff, he's been raising millions in Hollywood money for years. He's not run against anybody like me in the 20 years he's been in office. I'm challenging this character to a debate in every forum I speak. Uh, I cannot wait to debate him. I will dismantle him. And so I need your support. www.ericearly.com. We've got we're over 14,000 now. Small donations from around America. There's no donation too small. A lot of people think, why should I make it? There's no donation too small. And when you donate online at ericearly.com, you can leave comments. I read everybody's comments. I'll tell you some of the comments I get about Schiff. You would love it if I turn it into a book. So thank you so much for having me today. And keep an eye out, ericearly.com, and hope to talk to you all soon and meet as many of you as I can one of these days.
Thank you, Eric. Thank you for coming on. Eric Early for Congress. You certainly have what it takes. If you'd like more information about Eric, because I found your website very robust with information, please visit ericearly.com. And also, I want to remind everyone to donate big. So thank you for coming, and thank you for your time to speak with us.
Thank you so much for having me. It was my pleasure.
We look forward to getting you elected.
Thank you.
Thank you.